Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. Seth Merrow in the studio. Thanks for joining us as always. Today, a little bit later on, we'll be joined by John Piassek. We'll take a look at some of the Laurel stakes because there is a win and you're in, or win today and we'll see you in May, they say at Laurel. But the Tessio has Preakness implications, so we'll talk some of the stakes in Maryland a little bit later on. But we'll start things out talking also about a win and you're in for the Preakness. We'll hit on the Illinois Derby in a few, but we'll also talk some of the stakes action today at Keeneland with Ed DeRosa from Horse Racing Nation. You can also find selections from Ed every racing day on the Keeneland website. Ed, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you on board to talk a little Keeneland. And I said your selections are available every racing day at the Keeneland website. And I was looking on Twitter. Last weekend, I think it was, you had a top pick who I want to say 30-1 or maybe more. By the time it went off, you lost a little of that value, but it was still a great price. So congratulations. But I thought, and I'm wondering if you thought the same thing. I thought on your behalf because, what was it, 4 weeks ago, I was in the studio doing my afternoon handicapping show, but I was watching and listening to the NHC out in Vegas. And I wondered, just as a horse bettor, did you get that big winner at Keeneland and think, why couldn't this have been 3 weeks ago when I was in the contest?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there was my win percentage isn't great at Keeneland, but I've taken the right shots. That horse ended up only paying, I think, $18 for the favorite, morning line favorite scratch. And then I think it was opening weekend, I had a 45-1 winner. And in both instances, I absolutely thought to myself, gosh, I wish this were a contest day.
And I've said it before, contest is a lot of fun. And your impressions of this year. And the winner this year, I thought was very interesting because made it to the cut line, I think there was 75, 77 that made the cut on Sunday. And he was sitting 63rd or 65th at the beginning of Sunday and made it all the way up to number one at the end of the day. I thought it was a fascinating kind of study on that last day of the contest.
No, that was lightning in a bottle for sure. And, that Sunday in March in particular was pretty slim pickings in the early portions of the card. So not only, did he have that fantastic run, but, he pretty much had to be dead on right because this wasn't one of those situations where, well, if you get two of the four long shots that are going to come in, he pretty much needed every big price to get to where he did. And then he continued to ride the wave to victory. So just a fantastic day, taking the right shots in the right spot. From a macro level, Seth, I do wonder if the NHC, and I'm not sure how many years they're locked into what date, but I personally just kind of have a sense that maybe Saturday needs to be the final day, just to give some opportunity where you're actually going to have some solid racing from start to finish. Because those Sunday races, Aqueduct, Laurel, unfortunate Fairgrounds canceled. There were a lot of 4 and 5 horse fields, just not the way I would want to end $1 million tournament.
And there was a lot of buzz on social media and just folks talking about the contest in various venues on that topic and maybe if they can't switch to Saturday, I hadn't thought about that. That may be the way to go. But at least talking to some of the racetracks and saying, hey, we're putting your product out here. Can you throw us a bone and kind of write something that's going to be attract a little bit of a bigger field for our contest here?
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair, I don't want to say expectation, but at least make the ask.
Yeah.
And we all know how condition books can be tough and you're at the mercy of the horsemen and weather cooperating, et cetera. But even, the thought of, kind of sneaking one quality race or maybe it's not even quality race, it's a quantity race.
Yeah.
Like, hey, give us something that's going to get 8 or 10 in there on a Sunday. Because sometimes the high quality, high class races get a world beater against 3 or 4 others. So that's no fun either. So It would take some finessing, but I agree with you. It'd be worth at least making the call.
Yeah, field size is definitely what the key is. And that last day, if they could get a number of races in there like that, does make it more exciting. But as I say, it was kind of fun to watch the eventual winner climb up the leaderboard this year. And just before we move on, how did you qualify? And for folks, I say it all the time because we were out there covering the NHC. Just before the pandemic, we were out there for a couple of years, and it's a lot of fun. I tout people, jump into contests. I think it hones your handicapping. You have to look for value a little bit, and it can help you out. But if you get out there, I think it's a great time. So, A, how did you qualify? And B, give me your thoughts. That people talk about the NHC as the horse players convention. I totally agree.
Yeah, I qualified at Hawthorne, which is somewhat, they kind of created a niche for themselves with the no entry opportunity. They do some live money contests, so your whole bankroll ends up in play, but that's also your entry fee. So you're betting live money, but without having to put anything extra up front. And they're actually having a tournament to complement their Illinois Derby card tomorrow. It's an $800 entry, but that no added fee really makes it a great deal for the horse player because it's live money. So you're, betting into the pools, you get to keep what you win, and you get the opportunity of the seat. And that's how I won mine last year. It was actually my first NHC. I'd been out there a bunch when I wore my brisnet hat, helping players. This was my first chance to play. And it was a blast. I've given the NHC some lumps through the years. Like any big event, it could use some tweaking. There's, some rules and entry fee type stuff that I'd like to see more transparency on. But when it comes to the mechanics of the game itself and the people you get to meet and hang around with, there's really nothing like it in racing. It's a fantastic experience for the horse player. And as much as I would say I do prefer live money, the format of the NHC where you have the 3 days, if you're lucky enough to make it to the third day, you get to take your shots for sure. And it was an intellectual challenge that I really enjoyed and hope to get back there next year.
Yeah, I keep playing. I'm in here most afternoons doing the handicapping show, so I don't get to play enough. Last year I missed right before the actual tournament. I played in one of the last online available and missed by a couple of bucks, but I'm keep playing because I want to get out there as a player myself. I highly recommend it. All right, let's shift our attention out to Keeneland. Couple nice stakes today. Before we get to those, any thoughts so far overall on the Keeneland meet? A lot of people are looking at it and saying tough to make up ground in the stretch, but what are some of your thoughts on Keeneland so far this spring?
Yeah, speed has been great. And, we're at the point of the meet with this kind of sample size where I'm starting most of my main track handicapping, being aware of who the speed is and pretty much just asking, okay, can this horse go gate the wire? And if the answer is yes, they're a huge upgrade. So it's something to keep in mind. And, we've been through this before. Those people out there who are as old as we are, Seth, remember the Keeneland from the pre-poly track days. I'm not sure it's quite to that point yet because the routes have actually played where you can come from a little off the pace. And back in the old days, that didn't even hold true in the routes. But for sprint, you absolutely want to be on the lead or very close to it, turning for home. So that's been something to watch. And then from a horseman perspective, Tyler Gaffleone is riding absolutely incredible, which is not a surprise. He does very well in Kentucky, but he's more than holding his own against the New York guys who have posted up for the meet and be here through Derby. So he's a rider that I've definitely found when not on a favorite. I take a look because he's made a difference in my mind with me on his mount.
Jose Ortiz also getting his Kentucky sojourn off to a nice start. He's been having a nice meet as well.
Yeah, and I don't want to say I was down on him. I mean, the Ortiz brothers need no introduction. I think I read him and I'd put Pratt maybe number 2 in terms of the best day in and day out across the country. But Jose maybe lost in the shuffle a little bit, not as good as his brother, but he's certainly done very well this meet. And I thought that was a great win yesterday on Cagliostro for Cherie DeVoe. He timed his move right to have a little left at the end to hold off the favorite, but created some separation. And that's kind of one of my favorite types of rides. I like when a jockey doesn't let the closers into the race. So, he took command and just made it tough to catch late. And I thought that was a really heady ride.
I'm right with you there. I like when riders are decisive and say, I'm making my move, you come get me. And I was smiling when you mentioned the old Keeneland, because as the talk the first couple of weeks has been about speed at Keeneland, I've thought and said on the air the same thing. Hey, it's the old Keeneland. We're hearkening back a little bit. All right, let's get to it. Keeneland Stakes action this afternoon, the Elkhorn. Let's start with that Grade 2 event, 1.5 miles on the grass. I pulled up a replay of Bold Act winning the Dubai City of Gold back at the beginning of March at Meydan. Charlie Appleby, it's Frankie Dettori off this nice win. I went there. I thought Missed the Cut from John Sadler was a little bit intriguing. Dyna Drive at a big price from Mike Maker is one I'm tossing into my mix. I think it's an interesting addition of the Elkhorn. How did you see it?
Yeah, it sounds pretty similar in our approach. Bold Act for me is, especially since we have that race last year at the course distance, where he defeated, Cellist, maybe not a grade 1 horse, but certainly to be off the plane and win that at 1.5 miles, I think speaks to his talent, and nothing wrong with the seasonal debut. Interesting that Appleby brings him here instead of, maybe some European targets, especially on the heels of the news that Charlie's going to have a string in New York, and I have to think this one's going to be a part of it. So, I hate to call it Grade 2 a prep. I don't even think it's that, but clearly there's, bigger things on the roadmap for this one, and I see no reason why it won't start here with a win. Just that even the Ragavan figure in the Sycamore towers over what this group has done, and knowing what Charlie and Frankie Dettori are capable of with the international imports makes them tough to beat. But I do agree with you. Maybe there's some opportunity where you're not using the second choice underneath. Winning Spirit's another import. I'll be curious to see what kind of price he ends up being off the long layoff. 1.5 miles is tough off this kind of layoff. But, maybe one of those, since I like the favorite so much, if he gets overlooked, certainly can be second or third. And then on the outside, Silver Knot, also for Appleby, but one who has stayed here for the most part in the States, I think is interesting because he's going to be a pace presence from the outside. I don't think Pratt's going to look for a mid-pack. He's going to go in the 3-turn race. And we saw Appleby run 1-2 in the Maker's Mark Mile. Wouldn't surprise me to see Silver Knot below his stablemate here either. Yeah,
again, I think it's a nice, full, interesting field in there. And, we are looking forward to Charlie Appleby being based here in upstate throughout the summer. I'm sure we'll see plenty of his. Go ahead.
Yeah, one last point. This is part of the $3 All-Turf Pick 3, which is paid after gangbusters really for most of the meet, but we saw a $56,000 payout 2 days ago. And you only need one clever opinion when it's a $3 Pick 3. So I'm not going to overthink it. Bold Act is going to be my single, but certainly encourage people to look at that bet because it's paid great with the low takeout and higher minimum.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, that's become a bet that has kind of played around in a couple of tracks, that $3 Pick 3. And I know a lot of people are very intrigued with it. And again, I agree with you. If you have an interesting opinion somewhere in the mix, you can get a nice little payout in there. All right, the Ben Li, 9th at Keeneland. It's a Grade 3 event, $300,000, 1.3 miles is the trip. I pulled up the replay from the seasonal debut for Kingsbarns. You mentioned the Cagliostro race. That one in Dreamlake yesterday, I think we're kind of similar in that trying to move their presence into maybe the handicap division this year. And I think the same for Kingsbarns off an interesting early part of the career. Seasonal debut down at Gulfstream. It was a ding-dong battle at a chalky price, but I think sets him up well today. Going to look at that Gulfstream race where number 5 will be Kingsbarns and gets it done in the seasonal debut. War Campaign to me is interesting on the outside with the aforementioned Gaff Leone. And I thought Surly Furious with Frankie Dettori on board at a price could be a player as well. Smile Happy I chased in the first 2 starts this year, and I think I'm kind of off of him. But I went with Kingsbarns, kind of obvious in here. What were your thoughts on the Ben Li?
Given that I'm on, might be the shortest favorite in the sequence with Bold Act. I'm going to take a stab against King Farm. So, I have to say, for a horse who won a grade 2 at a mile in 3:16 to come back off the bench and show a new dimension, stalking and pouncing to win a 7 furlong race, certainly it speaks to the quality of his talent. Not going to be surprised if he zaps me here, but just thought maybe there was an opportunity to not have back-to-back chalk. And War Campaign is actually who I landed on. So I'm with you in some admiration in his direction. But, it was an okay race last out in the Essex. First mission certainly kind of ran some of the hype he had in the Clark. But runner-up finish, and I thought, best of the rest, as the chart comment used to say. Should have no issue whatsoever with the added half furlong here. Just think we're going to get the right price thanks to the presence of King Farm. And then the inside too, I thought were time for trouble. Might have too much to do, but for those who are super players, my friend Travis Stone, the announcer, he calls it reverser horses, where you're not even thinking that they can win, but maybe he's the one that is going to be running late, and you just keep for third or second in a super. And then Surly Curious is kind of the same. He's going to be running late. Certainly know he's in form, has plenty of bottom to him, given all those Capita races. But I'm pretty strong on I think War Campaign is going to be worth a win bet here. 4-1 would be a fair price because I don't like Smile Happy. He's just not going in the right direction. So what I like to do in these spots is have that War Campaign to win, maybe a cold exact underneath King Farms, and then look at the Will Pays to see if it's worth throwing in the winner too as well.
I like it. All right. And finally, you're on your way to Chicago and Hawthorne. So let's take a look at tomorrow in the Illinois Derby. Couple $100,000 up for grabs. And again, it's a win and you're in race for the Preakness. Nice little field of a half a dozen in here. And again, this is tomorrow at Hawthorne. I pulled up a replay of the allowance event at the fairgrounds. Legree, the number 4 horse, is interesting to me off of this race. This was 2 back. Followed this up with a 9th place finish in the Rushaway at Turfway, but that was on the synthetic. So Legree, interesting to me. Real Men Violin for Kenny McPeak, kind of didn't show up in the Louisiana Derby. Comes out of before that Risen Star, which was so productive, but was 8th there. So I didn't know what to do with Real Men Violin. But what are your thoughts in the Illinois Derby tomorrow?
Yeah, my thought on, and it's the same trainer, my thought on Real Men Violin is kind of similar to Smile Happy we talked about in the Ben Ali. I just don't like the direction, and there are races that win this that he has run as a 2-year-old, but 3-1 morning line, he's just going to have to beat me if he's able to get back to one of those races. The form's just in the wrong direction. I landed on number 3, and thankfully Peter Galacta will have to worry about pronouncing it, not me. Is it Riguel?
I would go with 3. That. Yeah.
Yeah, Riguel. Brendan Walsh has just been absolutely hot. He won yesterday at 22-1. The barn is running well. His horses are well spotted. And he has blinkers for this one, which is a positive ROI move for the barn. And, for a guy who has a lot of respect and gets set, anytime I see an angle where it's a positive ROI, that actually sticks out to me. Morales gets them out from Tyler, who obviously is a Keeneland. So, there's nothing wrong with that. Edgar's certainly capable, especially on the dirt. And then lastly, Seth, this is a mile and 8th race. I'm not sure how many of the 6-pack want 9 furlongs. Riguel, I have no issue thinking that he does being by Justify out of the Medaglia d'Oro mare. So I don't know about 6-1 because the Ragozin figure in that Gulfstream race is the fastest of this group, and that typically does take money. But I don't think he'll be favored. I do think the horses people are familiar with from Fairgrounds, the 2 you mentioned, are going to take some money. So Riguel's my pick. And this is the last race of that contest I mentioned at Hawthorne. So if I'm in a position to win it, I'm going to try to do it with Riguel.
I like it, and I wish you a lot of good luck there as well. Ed, before we let you go, we're 3 weeks or so out. Any early thoughts on the Derby? We were talking on the handicapping show earlier. Is Fierceness just too good with this bunch? We've gone the whole prep season, and other than Sierra Leone, nobody's really been able to put 2 together. So I'm starting to lean towards Fierceness may just have the edge on this group this year. There are a couple others that are interesting. I think Resilience coming out of the wood is the one I'm going to play around with a little bit. But your early Derby thoughts?
Well, certainly, and it's only 2 weeks away, so coming up quick. But certainly Fierceness, at his best is best. And I know it's kind of a cliche among our handicappers because they don't necessarily have to run their best. And we've seen Fierceness do that twice where he's, lost races that look like he should be able to win on paper. So that's a big question mark. So it's just what price are you willing to take that if the Fierceness we saw in the Breeders' Cup and Florida Derby shows up, it's hard to see him getting beat, admittedly, and based on the work the last 2 weeks, he's ready. So I agree with you, most likely winner. A little nervous about the price.
Yeah.
I've actually come around on the UAE Derby. This is a prep race that I fade every year. I don't understand why people keep betting the UAE Derby runners. They're 0 for 19 with the best finish of 5th, so they haven't even hit the Super since 2000. All that said, Seth, I think Forever Young is just a different type of animal. Undefeated. I love what we've seen so far this year. He ran down American Speed in the Saudi Cup in his 3-year-old debut. And similar in the UAE Derby, just dug in and would not quit. And to me, that's the type of run that can win in Kentucky, especially if Fierceness doesn't run his best. So as much as it's a turnaround for me to go with the UAE Derby, I really like what I've seen from Forever Young.
I agree. And I he's undefeated, and the Japanese have been so successful the last couple of years international racing that the Derby maybe sooner rather than later. We'll see. And I saw you put out fair odds. We were talking on the handicapping show earlier. We're kind of anticipating odds. Where do you see Forever Young? And obviously, Fierceness and Sierra Leone seem like single digits. And to me, once you get past them, other than Forever Young, it seems like double digits past that point.
Yeah, I think so. I guess just how much Sierra Leone and Fierceness are better, so the top two choices will determine if Forever Young runs up. But, I think they'll be the top two, and then you'll have Forever Young, Catching Freedom, and Just a Touch. There's that second tier. And, the math has to work out. And we know in the Derby, the long shots take more money than they should.
Yeah.
No disrespect to these horses who have gotten in the race, but, West Saratoga should be probably 150 to 1, and he's going to be 50 to 1. So, that just makes the prices higher on the horses you like. I think Forever Young could be 10 to 1.
Yeah. I'm thinking at lowest 9, I'm thinking. He may sneak into the single digit area, but it's at the top of that tier. Yeah.
It'll come down to, A, how much the top two get that, and then B, Catching Freedom makes a lot of sense. Just a touch, I think it's going to get talked about a lot because of the similarities to Mage's progression into the Derby. I think Forever Young will be the third choice. So if Fierceness is 2 to 1 and Sierra Leone 5 to 2, he almost has to be 10 to 1. Is how it works out. But if Fierceness is 3 to 1 and Sierra Leone 7 to 2, then Forever Young could be 8 or 9 to 1.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, no question about it. Ed, appreciate the visit this morning, the thoughts, and again, I will tell folks to go to the Keeneland website during the spring meet. Your picks are available there with comments every day, so check that out. Horse Racing Nation, obviously, check out your work there, your Twitter feed. We've put that up when we had your graphic up, so people can check you out there as well. Beautiful. But Ed, travel safely to Hawthorne, and good luck in the contest tomorrow.
Thank you very much, and pleasure talking racing with you.
Appreciate it. Ed DeRosa, again, Horse Racing Nation, and you can catch his selections at the Keeneland website every racing day. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, I'll do some news and notes for a few minutes, and then just a few minutes down the road, we'll be joined by John Piassek and take a look at some of that stakes action at Laurel, because, again, the Tessio today, a win and you're in for the Preakness. Tomorrow, win and you're in for the Preakness at Hawthorne with that Illinois Derby. And down at Oaklawn today, there's a win and you're in for the Preakness as well. I think the Bathhouse Row, I believe, is the stake at Oaklawn that gets the Preakness runners potentially. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, as I say, some news and notes before we're joined by John Piassek a little bit later. Stay tuned. Signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer: wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. But here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falbrough. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Again, some news and notes here. Going back to yesterday, Mike Welch in the racing. Mike Welch is a very good workout watcher. Had some thumbs up for Fierceness. There was a workout yesterday down at Todd Pletcher's Palm Beach Downs facility. I think we have some video of it. Fierceness is going to be on the inside, Agate Road on the outside. And again, there were glowing reviews of the workout. Todd Pletcher is quoted himself as saying, "I thought he worked super, a solid 5/8 with a good gallop out, exactly what we were targeting." He also, it is notable on board, and again, Fierceness here is on the inside, Agate Road on the outside, and on board Fierceness, John Velasquez. So that's notable too, that they elected to get Johnny V down in Florida, because he raced later yesterday at Keeneland. So flew down to Florida for the workout, and then flew back up to ride at Keeneland in the afternoon. And again, the results of that, the comments afterwards were glowing as far as the workout was concerned. So again, all signs are pointing to Fierceness going very well and holding good form. We'll see how it all works out. Because again, now I'm not sure what the schedule is exactly, but shipping up to Churchill, and I think there will be a last workout at Churchill, certainly. So we shall see how it plays out. But the workout yesterday went well for Fierceness. The injunction, the legal maneuvering that was being played out by the owner of Muth to try to get Muth into the Kentucky Derby, the injunction bid was denied yesterday or the day before. I think it was just yesterday. No, actually Thursday. It was denied Thursday. Now, subsequently last night, I think I read they have filed an appeal of this to try to get Muth in the Derby. I said when this was originally filed, there are so many moving parts. I find it hard to believe that it would be successful. It wasn't, but again, from what I read last night, and I think you can check, I think I saw in the Racing Forum for Matt Hagerty, they have filed an appeal to this. So they're still trying to get Muth in the Kentucky Derby. But again, it seems like an absolute long shot. But it was denied, but it's not over is the upshot to get Muth in. And again, for folks aren't familiar, Muth, of course, a Bob Baffert runner. Bob Baffert currently, his runners aren't allowed at Churchill for the Derby this year, racing till some point later in the year. And so Churchill made it known earlier in the year, if you want your horse to get points to get to the Derby, they can't be in the Baffert barn. You have to move them to somebody else. The owner of Muth elected not to, and has now said, as I say, there's legal maneuvering. You can read the articles to see the reasoning and whatnot, but they're trying to get the courts to decide that Muth can run. So the latest attempt at that was denied, but it looks like they're going to take one more shot. The Canadian Eclipse Awards, which are called the Sovereign Awards, were announced in a ceremony a couple of nights ago, and Fev Rover, the Beverly D Stakes winner, landed Horse of the Year honors and was named the champion female turf horse. Fev Rover, a Mark Casse trainee. Mark Casse was also named the outstanding trainer. And as you went down the list of winners, Mark Casse trained the 2-year-old female champion, trained the 2-year-old male champion. Whit Waters Rand, the 2-year-old female, 2-year-old male, My Boy Prince, again, both trained by Mark Casse. Elysian Field, the 3-year-old female champion, a Mark Casse trainee. The 3-year-old male, Paramount Prince, a Mark Casse trainee. So logically, he was also the trainer of the year. So again, the Sovereign Awards coming out just a couple of days ago. And you can check, there's a list, there's an article with the entire list at the Blood Horse, but I thought it was notable that, the number of runners that Mark Casse had winning Sovereign Awards this year. And we think of him as a guy racing down in Florida, and he's in Saratoga. We have him sit in with us typically at Saratoga. But boy, his horses run really well up at Woodbine, and it's been that way for years and years and years. I mentioned earlier, there is a win and you're in at Oaklawn today for the Preakness Stakes, and it is, as I said earlier, the Bathhouse Row. The winning horse, I'm reading from the conditions, the winning horse will automatically be given an entrance into the Preakness. And it's a nice little stakes race today, just to take a quick look at it. A field of 8 entered. It's a 1 1/8 mile, Bathhouse Row, 9th race. It'll go off about 5:30 our time. I went with Informed Patriot from Steve Asmussen, stepping out of the Arkansas Derby just, 3 weeks ago. Ran 5th behind Muth there, ran 5th in the Sunland Derby before that, but was 3rd in the Smarty Jones back in January, 1st of January, New Year's Day. And I think better than we saw in the last couple of starts. The 5th place finish in the Arkansas Derby was a lifetime best buyer number. I think it's going to fit nicely with this field. So I went with Informed Patriot. Militant from Brad Cox, lightly raced, broke the maiden in the last start number 2 of the career. That could be an up-and-coming 3-year-old that may be worth watching this afternoon. And Steve Asmussen also has another runner coming out of a disappointing finish in the Arkansas Derby, Imperial Gun, who looked pretty good in the Maiden Breaker back on New Year's Eve. The follow-up to that in the Optional Claiming Company was a 4th place finish, and then the 8th in the Arkansas Derby. But again, it's a horse that's lightly raced, and I think maybe better than we've seen so far. Might wind up being an interesting fit with this group this afternoon. So again, the Bathhouse Row amongst the stakes at Oaklawn this afternoon. Also the Valley of the Vapors. The Bathhouse Row, obviously, Preakness win and you're in. It's for the 3-year-old boys. The Valley of the Vapors is for the 3-year-old fillies. So that's a nice race too. Under the Palms for Kenny McPeak is interesting to me in that Valley of the Vapors. And then also on the Oaklawn card this afternoon, the Oaklawn Handicap. And this is a nice field of older runners, grade 2 event, $1.25 million. So as you would expect, they put up that money. They get a field of 11, including Instant Coffee from Al Gold, Skippy Longstocking, coming out of a win in a stake over at Tampa last time for Safi Joseph. Guntown, now in the barn of Mike Maker. Last Samurai, who has a very nice Oaklawn record. Octane, Red Route 1 is the direction I'm going, but Reincarnate comes in for Bob Baffert. Magic Tap, I think, could be a player for Asmussen. It's a nice addition of the Oaklawn Handicap. And again, that's going to be 11th race at Oaklawn today, going off just a little before 7 o'clock our time. All right, that gives you some ideas on that Oak Lawn card, which is very good. So I wanted to toss that out there as well. We've hit on the 2 stakes at Keeneland. We'll take a break, and we'll shift over stakes action at Laurel this afternoon with John Piassek, which includes that Tessio, which is a win in the year in for the Preakness as well. So all of that coming up right after this. Stay tuned.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
There's no better place to enjoy horse racing action than the Capital OTB Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany, just minutes off of I-90. The Clubhouse Racebook features over 200 flat-screen TVs, bringing you racing action from across the country, plus all the major sporting events. Racing info, tip sheets, promotions and events, track odds, plenty of parking, and a full bar and restaurant. Stop by today. Capital OTB's Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. As promised before the break, we are joined now by our friend John Piassek. You can find his selections for Laurel at Frank Vespi's theracingbiz.com. John, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Always great to be here.
Always happy to have you on. And before we get started, I was happy to read your news just recently. You've always been doing some work with Frank Vespi in the Racing Biz, but when we had you on before, you were also working for the Maryland Horse Breeders, but you've now moved on. You're over on the sulky side of things. Talk a little bit about the new gig, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I am heading back home to the New York metro area. I'm going to be the assistant race secretary and backup show caller and track announcer at Yonkers Raceway. I've previously worked in the standardbred world at Freehold and Tioga Downs, and I'm happy to be jumping back into that full time. And I'm still keeping quite a few toes in Maryland. You'll still see my stuff on the Racing Biz, and you'll see my stuff in Mid-Atlantic Thoroughbred magazine. So I still love Maryland racing. Always happy to support it, but I'm also very happy to come back home, head over to Yonkers, and step back, as you said, in the land of the sulky.
Excellent. I like it. I started my horse racing love right up the turnpike at Saratoga Harness. So I'm a big sulky fan, and we've done a couple of remotes over the years, the Yonkers International Day down there. So like that facility as well. So yeah, congratulations and good luck going forward. But again, you also have the selections, Laurel Racing on the Racing Biz. So I thought we'll reach out and get some thoughts, because the Tessio, and we'll start there. The Tessio is a win and you're in, or as they say in the conditions for the race, win today, see you in May. The Tessio gets an entrant potentially into the Preakness. I pulled up a replay going back to March 23rd, because we'll see a number of the runners here. This is the private terms. The winner's the number 1, Copper Tax. Inveiglet, number 3, runs second. Speediness, number 7, runs third. Number 9, Circle P, runs fourth. They're all back this afternoon, and I kind of like Copper Tax off of this really gutsy win. Gets stuck in the outside post position, though. That may be a knock. I'll also note Lat Long tried the Preakness last time and ran a disappointing 9th, but Kenny McPeak brings this one to Maryland. I thought that was interesting. And Todd Pletcher has Corollo Rapido. Interesting field in here in the Tessio. What did you see?
Fantastic betting race all around. I think on pure ability, Copper Tax is probably the best horse in the field. As you said, he ran a very big race in the Tessio last time, and he has dominated the Mid-Atlantic Circuit last year. Won a bevy of stakes, including one at 2 turns in the Rocky Road. Got a bit over his head in the Remsen and the
Sam Davis, however, I think he's very at home against these mid-level 3-year-old types. On top, however, I went a little bit out of the box and I took a long shot. Number 2, Celtic Contender at 20-1 on the morning line. He's also coming out of the private terms, and that race ended for him pretty much as soon as it started. He broke off early, got pinched back, lost forward position, and from there, never really had a chance. Take out that race, and his figures fit right in with these. I mean, he broke his maiden 2 starts back, stalled the pace, won by 10 lengths on a giant figure on the business scale of 94. If he duplicates that race, he's absolutely in the mix. And I think the way this race is going to set up fits him well as well. Speediness to his inside is likely to set the early pace. I'm not sure if he can handle a mile and an eighth. He did okay going a mile and a 16th, but I know Jamie Ness has long thought of him as a sprinter. I he's just taking a shot with him going 9 furlongs. If he backs up, Celtic Contender is going to be just off his flank. He'll get first crack. As I said, if he runs back in that race 2 back, he's going to be a serious threat late at a very good price.
Yeah, and it comes in with a little bullet workout, 20-1 on the morning. I like it. I'm taking a little swing there. But with the horse that I agree, I think is a little bit intriguing. Being lightly raced, probably still some upside potential. All right, let's go to race number 9 this afternoon. It's the Henry Clark 100,000. It's on the grass. Is this the first day of grass racing, or have they been on the grass down at Laurel so far?
Well, the second day. First day was yesterday. It was supposed to be last weekend, but in the first week of April, we had about 4 straight days of rain, so they pushed it back. The grass season started yesterday, and now we're in full swing. All
right, and it's always fun. A great turf course down there, always great turf racing, and this one's scheduled on the grass at a mile. The Henry Clark, $100,000 up for grabs. I pulled up a replay going back to Tampa Bay Downs, March 24th, a little stakes action down there, and it will be the number 1 Forever Super going out for Mike Trombetta, and with Super having an O in it, it's a Live Oak Plantation runner, and coming off of this Tampa race, I thought was live in here. But Graham Motion has English B coming up from Gulfstream with back numbers. Eons for Arnaud Delacour, I think, is certainly a player in here. Fun race. What did you see in the Henry Clark?
I like Forever Super quite a bit. As we saw, he got a really pretty trip last time out at Tampa Bay Downs, kicked away, won as much the best, and won the Sunshine Turf at Gulfstream Park 2 starts back in similar style. He has great stalking speed, a great late punch, but he gets any kind of trip, and in a 5-horse field, I have to figure it'll be hard for him to run into trouble. He's going to be hard to hold off.
Yeah, I agree. It looks very, very intriguing this afternoon. All right, let's go one race earlier, the 8th race. The Tessio plays into the Preakness. The 8th race, the Weber City Miss, plays into the Black-Eyed Susan. So the winner here can get into that race coming up at Pimlico in a few weeks. There is $125,000 up for grabs, 8.5 furlongs. I pulled up a replay going back to March 23rd, the Beyond the Wire Stakes. It's going to be number 6, Determined Driver. And I thought off of that effort, the Trombetta horse was maybe a good look in here. Now, this was over a sloppy sealed track. Maybe the horse just really liked that. But being fairly lightly raced, also just maybe really moving in the right direction. Another one comes in for Kenny McPeak, though, Band of Gold off a stake last time at Turfway. Shimmering Allure for Kenny McPeak coming in off a try in the Ashland. Also is a little bit interesting. What did you see in the Weber City Miss?
Well, they have good news and bad news. The good news is I also like Determined Driver. Bad news is the key word is liked because she was scratched, unfortunately. So she's out of the race. And because of that, I defer to number 3, Jeannie Marie, who I thought ran really well in the mainline stakes of Park last time out. It was her first start off about a 7.5-month layoff, and her first start going beyond 4.5 furlongs in a mile and 70-yard contest. Always a very tall ask to ask any horse to A, stretch out that far, and B, do it off such a long break. But she set the pace, held on, kicked away nicely, and ran a very impressive 86 on the business scale. There's some other speed in this race, but I don't think they're that dangerous. Grammy Girl to her outside, I don't think is classy enough yet. Miss Harriet, I don't think is able to go 2 turns. Jeannie Marie should be very top in the lead, and while the scratches of Determined Driver and also Band of Gold are going to kill her price a little bit, I think she's still pretty live.
Very good. A little bit earlier on the card, the King Leatherberry. Nice that there's a race named after King Leatherberry. $100,000, 5.5 on the grass. Scheduled with a big full field. Whitty's interesting to me in the seasonal debut for Elizabeth Merriman. Coffee with Chris is a horse I liked earlier in the career. I think lately probably is a little bit up against it in here. But again, nice, interesting field in the King Leatherberry. How'd you see it?
I think Whitty on top. I think the race is set up for him very nicely. He hit his best stride locally towards the end of last year, won back-to-back Maryland restricted stakes, including a Maryland Million Turf Sprint, where he came from last off very fast tractions and won going away. There's a lot of speed in here. He has a great leg kick. I think it'll play into his hands. I think if anyone is going to last on the lead, it's going to be number 7, Future Is Now, an up-and-coming Maryland-bred filly, bred by Larry Johnson and trained by Mike Trombetta. She's won back-to-back big races on the lead at Gulfstream Park. 2 starts back, lasted to a half-mile fraction of 42 and 3/5 seconds and one going away. Then set a similarly fast pace while being hounded, ended up holding second by a half length in the Captiva Island. If anyone lasts through a speed duel, it's her. Numbertown Outlaw Kid is also kind of interesting. He's making his first start since September 16th, but he did run some big races on the grass, both in New York and at Woodbine last year. And he ran well first off the layoff last year at Belmont Park, where he won going away off a 6-month break. So I'm not too worried about the time off with him.
Very good. And we kick off the stakes action in race number 5, the Dahlia, back on the turf at a mile, $100,000 up for grabs. And we have some folks shipping in some familiar trainer names. Graham Motion is in here. Mike Stidham coming in. Will Walden brings a horse, a European, in Butch Reed coming in as well, Pennsylvania-based. What did you see in the Dahlia?
Unfortunately, Will and Butch both scratched their horses, and the reason why there's been so many scratches at Laurel lately is because there was a case of EHV1 on the back stretch on Tuesday, and so one of the barns, barn 33, and in fact, one of the bigger barns, is under a 14-day quarantine, and horses coming in and out are not allowed to leave for 14 days. But some horses decided to ship anyway, some didn't, and so if you're wondering why there's so many scratches, that is why.
Yeah.
I didn't pick number 1, 5 Towns on top. Ran okay, first off a long layoff at Gulfstream, 2 starts back on grass, had a mild late kick and came in 5th. Ran, I thought, a much improved effort against similar rivals on the Takita last time out. This time finished the job after running off the pace, one going away. I think she'll take another step forward, straight off the bench.
Yeah, and that's a great point you make. I've forgotten all about that. There was the quarantine earlier this week, and for folks who aren't familiar with treks with these quarantine situations, you come in, you have to kind of hang around until things settle down, and so some folks obviously choosing not to do that. So check your scratches there today at Laurel. But yeah, great point. John, thanks for taking a look because, again, the Tessio, the Weber City Miss playing into the Preakness potentially and the Black Eyed Susan worth taking a look at this afternoon. And again, I'll tell people they can go over to theracingbiz.com and check out your Laurel selections, many racing days down at Laurel. And we'll be checking out for your input and potentially hearing you up in the booth at Yonkers as well. Again, congratulations on that and appreciate the visit this morning.
Always a pleasure, Seth. And of course, 28 days of Preakness Day. Can't wait.
Absolutely. John Piassek, again, now with Yonkers, but you can check his work out at theracingbiz.com as well. All right, I'm going to kind of wrap it up here, but before I do want to remind you, because we have some interesting things coming up today, including a Fan Appreciation Day at the Cleats branch. And we will be out there with OTB TV. We'll have live cut-ins all afternoon. 16 Main Street in Whitesboro. If you're a patron out in that direction, we would love to see you this afternoon so we can say thank you to you for your patronage. There'll be food, there'll be vouchers, PPs. There's always a contest, and that's a lot of fun. You can win a little extra something. Fan Appreciation Day this afternoon at the Cleats branch in Whitesboro. Also today, there's a $100 win-a-bet contest right here at the Clubhouse Racebook. We would love to have you stop on by and enjoy your racing action here this afternoon and maybe come up with a little extra something with the win-a-bet contest. Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. If you've never been down, it's worth a stop. I don't say this enough because I just assume, well, everybody knows where the Racebook is and stops. But if you don't, we're right on Central Avenue. If you come down I-90, get off Everett Road, take Everett over to Central Avenue, take a left, and we're right around the corner there. Literally a minute. Well, it depends on how you hit the lights. But if you hit the lights right, it's a minute off of I-90, and the race book is right there. If you've never come down, it's worth a visit. On the weekends, the screens on the far end are showing all the sports, so you're not going to miss any of your sports action. And then we have the carols or the tables, and you can catch all the racing action as well. So if you'd like to stop down, we would love to have you. And today there was the extra bonus of the Win-A-Bet contest. And I'm just looking ahead at some of the events coming up, because always a lot of fun promos and events. Next week, next Friday, there's going to be a match bet and Exacta-Board contest here at the Racebook. That's next Friday. Next Saturday, there's a Knockout Challenge contest here at the Racebook. Don't forget, also coming up in May, early May, we do have the Kentucky Derby seminar. I'll be there. I was trying to think how I will be hosting, I suppose, but I'm also handicapping, so it's more than there. But I was trying to think what would be I'm host/handicapper, I suppose, for that. But also Anthony Mormino and Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy, will join us as well. That's Wednesday, May 1st. So we're, about a week and a half away from the Kentucky Derby seminar. You can watch it live here on the network. You can watch it over on our YouTube channel. The replay will be available on YouTube as well. But the annual Capital OTB Kentucky Derby seminar coming up on Wednesday, May 1st. So mark that on your calendar as well. All right. I'm going to step out. Sometimes with our road trips, I'll hang around and kind of kick the afternoon off here in the studio and then make the move over. But it's a little more of a longer trip. So I think the next time you see me, I will be live from Cleats in Whitesboro. Looking forward to it. And again, if you're out in that direction, stop by, say hello, and give us our chance to, as I say thank you to you and say hello back. And come on in and have some fun and join us. The Cleats branch out in Whitesboro. So probably back in a couple hours or so to kick things off from our On the Road at the Cleats branch. Otherwise, we're wrapping it up for Saturday morning. Handicapper support earlier. Hopefully we gave you some good info there. Racing Across America. Hopefully we piled on a little more good information, because I think it's a fun day of racing at the various venues around the country. So hopefully it's fun for you. You cash some tickets. That's what it's all about. But as I say, we'll be back in a couple hours or so on the road from the Cleats branch, OTB TV this afternoon. See you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.